Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the movie Battleground. My name is Robert the Hobbit Parker, here in the hosting chair today. We have an awesome match lined up for you guys today. This is what we are calling the bottom of the barrel match. These are two people who have not found a lot of success in our league so far and are fighting for some high stakes today. This is just going to be a great match. The loser of today's match is going to face Subrath Sharma in a retirement match. So if they lose today, they're in a retirement match and they could be out of the league. The winner of today's match for high stakes is going to have a complete clean wipe, a clean slate for stats. So they're going to start their stats over at 0-0 and start anew in the league. That's big stakes. We have some great competitors here to fight today. Let's talk to them right now. First up, Brian Fernandez. Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It sucks to be in this position right here, knowing that I did lose like really bad against Chance. But that was a hell of a match. I'll give it that because I actually did better than the first one against yeah. But nevertheless, I hope to redeem myself in this match here against Matt Bear, whatever he wants to call himself, Matt Movies. Let's see what he knows about arguing movies.
Alrighty, strong words there from Brian. Like he said, his opponent today, Mr. Matt Beer, another movie Battleground admin who has not had too much success in the league and also is fighting for redemption. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I probably am gonna have to yell quite a bit in this match, but it's gonna be fun. I'm expecting.
Let's hope it's not
match.
loud enough. Let's hope it doesn't go super loud that your neighbors won't hear you.
It'll be fine. We might just have to.
Don't anger my neighbors.
They can deal with the train. Then I think they can deal with us.
Alrighty, so this is going to be a great match today. Like I said, it's the bottom of the barrel match, high stakes. For those of you watching who don't know how the show works, we're just going to debate some questions. There's going to be opening arguments from each person. There's going to be an open forum session for either 6 or 5 minutes, depending on the question, where you guys are just going to get an open floor to debate and yell and scream at each other as much as you want. And then there will be closing arguments. So make sure you guys are getting the majority of your points in the opening and the open forum session. And then in the closing, you're just kind of summing everything up, wrapping it up with a nice bow for the Christmas season to gift to somebody. And with that, I am going to be judging today based on not only how you can support your own argument, but also how you attack the other person. So it's not just about getting the best pick. It's also about how you argument. It is the form of the debate, really, is how we're really judging it today. So with that being said, let's just hop into it. Question number 1. Here we go. I thought this was a great question. What is the most overrated movie of 2017 so far? Now, there have been some great movies. There have been some bad movies. But what's the most overrated movie, in your opinion? Brian, we are starting with you. Go ahead, state your opening argument whenever you're ready.
Okay, when I think of a movie that's overrated, it's not a, I'll think back to like movies before, whether it feels like last year, La La Land was the most overrated movie of last year, which don't get me wrong, I love it, but there was just a little bit too much hype to it. And then you can look at other movies, previously before that could be considered as overrated, But this year, I saw this movie with no expectations whatsoever. I didn't even, all I heard was just very positive things from movie reviewers. And I was just like, okay, let me see how this movie comes out. And I ended up watching Get Out. Now, Get Out, in my opinion, was personally, it's not my favorite movie that has been made. I appreciate the directing from Jordan Peele, who also wrote the movie, which the writing and the direction of it was really good. But it's just the hype around it that was just a little bit too much. And I watched it and I just said, it was just an okay movie. It's not as great as what everybody makes it out to be. Oh my God, the performances are absolutely amazing. It could be Oscar Derek, it could go for an Oscar, it could go for a Golden Globe. It's not a movie that says Oscar or Golden Globes for it. It's just a movie that is just, you can watch it on Netflix if it's raining outside. That's a movie that that I would consider to be overrated. So Get Out is the most overrated movie of this year.
All right, a very unorthodox pick there from Brian. That's definitely going to stir up some controversy here. Matt, we're going to hop over to you for your opening argument.
All right, and so to me, like Brian said, with an overrated movie, to me, when something's overrated, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It can be a really good movie. But if some people are talking about it being like the greatest thing in the world or the second coming of Jesus Christ, okay, you're going a little far. It's just a really good movie. And to
Yeah.
me, while I enjoy this movie quite a bit, people are talking like this is the greatest thing to have ever happened since sliced bread, and that is Baby Driver. I think Baby
Ooh.
Driver is a really good movie. However, it's a movie that slows down in the second half. The performances aren't that great. I mean, there's one good performance from Ansel Elgort, I believe that's his name.
Ansel
But I mean,
Elgort, but you're good.
Okay, him.
You were close. You were close.
Fault in Our Stars guy. But
Mhm.
to me, that's the most overrated movie of the year.
Whew, alrighty. Two movies that are beloved by lots and lots of people, but also two movies that I don't necessarily completely 100% disagree with you picking for them being a little bit overrated. So we're going to go into open forum. You guys are going to have 6 minutes to debate it. I will have the timer. Whoever talks first, you're going to have the floor. Argue, yell between each other as much as you want whenever you're ready.
Okay. Here's what I have to say about Baby Driver. Baby Driver at least has better performances than Get Out. Get Out is a movie that is just so boring from beginning to end. And even with these performances, but you could think of like the airport, this airport guy, who's Daniel Kaluuya's friend, and he just felt like it was forced comedy, for his character, and it was just everything about it was just so boring. And you make it out to be a horror mystery thriller, bro. It is not a horror mystery thriller. It is just the most satire thing on what could happen. It's like what we're saying back then, from like the 1800s, and when it was like slavery, when white people had blacks as slaves. I mean, get out of here, man. Why do we need to see a repeat of what happened before, back in time? Create something with at least something brand new that nobody's ever seen, okay? Baby Driver is an original movie directed by Jesus Christ. You're gonna have to help me out with the director. Edgar Wright. At least Edgar Wright made fantastic movies in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And you get it. And also, like, when you look at his movies, there's style to it, and there's a substance that everybody loves. This one had no style, no substance whatsoever. It was just straight talk. Oh my God, look at what's happening. And let's just focus on one stupid scene that happened through the movie where one guy is running and then he just goes, beep. The hell was that? At least there's moments in Baby Driver that you can actually appreciate, love, to love watching. The soundtrack for it is just unbelievably incredible, and it fits in with the scenes that goes along with everything. So,
right, but the soundtrack doesn't make the movie a good movie or a bad movie. I've seen many
at
movies
least the
with
soundtrack
awesome
makes it a
soundtracks,
character. The soundtrack makes it a character in the movie.
but that doesn't improve the movie at all. I mean, it's just giving you good music. I mean, look at Atomic Blonde. That's just a bland action movie, but with great music. Okay, so music isn't going to make a movie good or bad. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, while I enjoy the movie, it's a step down, but it has awesome music in the movie. When you look at Get Out, it takes, society and it spins it on its head. It does something different with that. With Baby Driver, it's not original. It's just another car heist film with a guy who can, only hear when he's listening to music well. I mean, obviously you can hear, but he has that ringing in his ear. With Get Out, it is an original film. It has an incredibly good screenplay that will be nominated for Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars, 100%. I can guarantee you that. The performances in Get Out are definitely a lot better from Daniel and Allison Wilson, I believe is her name. She's great. And then you have that twist where she and her family and like how they get him there, why they brought him to their place so they can use him, how they use everybody else. That was a really good twist, and how they take, the grandparents and the older people and they put their brains in the younger African Americans' heads so they can, live longer. And it's like having, invincibility. Not invincibility, but they can live forever. There you go. I can't think of the word for that for some reason. But
The thing, what that movie reminds me of is just what happened during the 1800s with slavery. That's what it reminds me of, and I don't think we want to see a repeat of what happened to it, man. I would rather see a movie that's actually fun to watch. This movie was not fun to watch. Get Out was not fun
it
at
was
all.
pretty fun to watch. The comedy
No, it was
is
not. No, it
really
was
neat.
not. It was not. It was a boring movie that you could fall asleep to it.
Okay, and then let's talk about the airport guy. I can't think of his name either, the character's name, but he's great in the movie. His comedy works. There's a lot of supporting characters that aren't good, and with Jordan Peele, he could have went too far, could have went over the top, but he handled that character perfectly. He has some of the funniest moments in 2017, period. Jordan Peele, for a first-time director, how he was able to make this movie and take some comedy in there and with the horror and the thriller aspect is really good. With Edgar Wright, it's with Baby Driver, he's more disappointing. It's one of his worst films he's directed, and that's mostly because
No.
like
it is not. It is not the worst movie that he's
I didn't
directed.
say worst. I said one of, because he's directed fantastic films like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim. This is definitely not better than those movies at all. Not even close. And I would say The World's End is a better movie than Baby Driver as well. It's a good movie. I will not deny that at all. It's a good movie. 100%.
At least
it's fantastic.
Okay.
It's not
the Baby Driver is an original movie. I don't know what years. I don't know what
45 seconds.
It is an original movie. Yes, it is.
How is it original?
It is.
How is it original?
Okay, when you have such a style like Edgar Wright, and he wants to create a movie yes, it is a heist movie, but guess what? You can have fun with heist movies. That's what he wanted to do. You can have fun with it, and that's what he did. He made a movie that gave a lot of fun to it, and with the soundtrack that goes with it. And yes, I'm gonna go back to it. The soundtrack makes it feel like it's a character in the movie. So guess what? Both of those combinations there fits perfectly with it. This movie here just did not feel complete at all. It just felt like it had a lot of gaps.
Time right there. Calling time. We're going to go to closing arguments. Now remember, closing arguments are meant to wrap up and sum up all of your points. Brian, we're going to you first for closings.
Okay. When I think of an original movie, I think of Baby Driver. When I do not think of original movies, I do not think of Get Out. Get Out is one of the most overrated movies of all time. And I have to say, it does not deserve to be nominated for 2 Golden Globes. And listen to what it's getting nominated for: Best Motion Picture. Really? It's not for Best Freaking Picture, and Best Performance for David Kaluuya. Bro, get out of here with that. It is not supposed to be nominated for anything. It is supposed to be a Netflix movie that people should watch when it's raining or when they're bored as hell outside. Baby Driver is a lot more fun and exciting to watch than this movie.
Already a strong and passionate argument there from Brian. Matt, you're closing when you're ready.
Okay. For one, you failed to tell me how Baby Driver's original. Just because it's fun and has good music does not make it original. You failed to tell us that at all. Now, like I said, just because a movie is fun doesn't make it good at all. And Baby Driver is a good movie. Like I said, I'm not denying that at all. It's a good movie. I watched it. I enjoyed it. But the second half is slow. People are talking about this movie like it's the greatest thing in the world. Like it's better than any movie this year, like The Disaster Artist, like, The Last Jedi, yada, yada, yada. And it's not. It's a good movie. Okay, I will not deny that. It's a good movie that has a little bit of fun in it. But to me, the second half really drags it down, slows it down. At least with Get Out, you get some originality. And with a first-time director, Jordan Peele, how he's able to take this horror thriller genre, mix it with comedy, but use the comedy smart and not overuse it like he easily could have because he comes from Key and Peele. Just because he did that alone makes it less of an overrated movie than what Baby Driver would be, just that alone. You have great performances throughout that are better than any of the performances in Baby Driver, but there is a good performance by Christopher Plummer in Baby Driver. You also get So screenplay is great. It's smart. It takes, like I said, it takes society and racial things and blends it in and does a really good job at it. And the ending is pretty original compared to anything Baby Driver. And also the twist with Allison Wilson. I believe that's her name. I could be wrong. I know her face though. She has a brown hair. But that twist where she's actually taking Daniel's character to her family so he can be used as basically a body for the older people so they can live forever. That alone makes it less overrated than Baby Driver. Than Baby Driver.
Alrighty. A good showing there by both competitors. I just have a little bit of fact-checking stuff. Brian, at the very end there, brought up some Golden Globe numbers. He is correct. Get Out was nominated for 2 Golden Globes, one for both Best Motion Picture in the category of a musical or a comedy. And then it was also nominated for that lead performance. Interestingly enough, did not get a screenplay nomination, although Golden Globe nominations are a little bit strange as compared to like Oscars and stuff like that. Both of you talked about during your openings about how well received the movie was by critics and by audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that Rotten Tomatoes is the be-all end-all, but it's a good guide to start with. On Rotten Tomatoes, Get Out has a 99% on the critics' tomato meter and an 87% audience score, while Baby Driver is sitting at a 93% on the tomato meter and an 86% audience score. So they're both correct as far as they're both very well received by both critics and by fans. Allison Williams is the actress's name who plays Rose. And then Rod Williams. Rod is the best friend who works at the TSA in Get Out. So that's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So just a couple things, not really important to the argument, but worth fact checking. I really liked the argument that both of you really were making. A little bit during the open forum, this kind of became a he said, she said kind of a thing about how, oh, it's original. Oh, wait, no, it's not original. It's got good performances. No, it doesn't. It was fun to watch. No, it's not fun to watch. It's boring. Like on both sides, there was a lot of back and forth of, yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. But I didn't really hear a whole lot as far as supporting those arguments. I heard it's boring. I didn't hear really why it's boring. I heard it's exciting. I didn't really hear how it's exciting. So I needed a little bit more substance besides just saying it is or isn't something. I needed both of you guys to kind of come a little bit more and say how it, show exactly how it is. I love the Christopher Plummer joke. That definitely gives you a point in my book and a brownie point. Man. So this one's really close. I think I'm going to lean slightly towards Matt on this one and give Matt the first point.
God fucking damn it.
I heard a lot from both of you. It was really a lot of just, it is boring, no it isn't. And then when Matt challenged you on tell me why it's not original, you went back to the things you already said instead of bringing up a new point, because you brought up the soundtrack and the action and how they're mixed together. But earlier in the beginning of the open forum, he already counteracted that. He already said, well, look at Atomic Blonde and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He had already counteracted those points, so I didn't hear enough news. So he challenged you in as far as the debate is concerned.
But his last point there, when he told me, you didn't tell me why it was original. Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. You said the soundtrack. I have it all written down here, Brian. You said it's the soundtrack and it's original and you can have fun watching. But those I
said there's style to it.
Which you had already said, style and substance. That's something you had already said earlier that Matt had already refuted. So I needed something new that he hadn't refuted yet.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm not saying that you didn't provide reasons. You did, but it's just stuff that you were repeating yourself a little bit. You had already said it.
Right.
So Matt's going to take the 0-1 lead. Still really, really close as we're going to hop into the second question.
0-1? 0-1 lead or
1-0? 1-0. Sorry. It's two numbers. Who cares where they're positioned?
Just busting your balls there.
No, I understand. It happens. We're going to hop into the second question. Matt, you're going to go first. The Christmas season is right behind us. We celebrated here. New Year's is coming up for the time we're recording this. So we're right still in that holiday season, and we thought it'd be fun to ask, what is the best performance in a Christmas movie? So there's lots of Christmas movies to choose from, dramas, comedies, all these kind of things. And we just thought, what's the best performance in one? Matt, we're starting with you for your opening.
All right, so unfortunately, I can't choose anything from Die Hard or Iron Man 3 because, you know, I would go with something like Robert Downey Jr. or Bruce Willis, so I can't go with that, sadly. So I thought about pure Christmas movies, and to me, someone who nails the role perfectly as far as who they're supposed to be playing is Will Ferrell in Elf, playing Buddy the Elf. He, he literally plays the thing perfect. He was taken as a child, a little baby, and he acts like a child throughout. I don't really see how you could go with anything else. He really plays this role perfectly. I'll go into more details why later, but I really want to see
Perfect.
what Robert's other choices. Or Robert.
Brian's choice.
Oh, Brian, yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's all right. It happens. So going for Will Ferrell in the movie Elf for Matt. Brian, what is your pick?
You stole my freaking pick. You stole my pick. You know, but guess what? I immediately thought of a different one, and I'm looking through these lists of Christmas movies, but during Christmas, and it takes place in a little town of Whoville, and I'm talking about How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It is a well acted, well performed. It's well acted by Jesus Christ. What's his freaking name? So are you serious, Christopher Plummer?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Which one are you looking like for the original animated or like the live action version with Jim Carrey?
I'm talking about the live action version with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
The live action version with Jim Carrey.
All right, so Jim Carrey is the performance you're going with?
Is the performance that I'm going with.
Just clearing that up.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I have a lot more things to say about it.
All right.
During
Well, good thing you're going to have 5 minutes to talk about those extra things. 5 minutes. I'll start the clock when you guys begin speaking.
You can go ahead and start first, Matt.
Oh, okay, cool. It's very weird you went with Jim Carrey. I mean, that didn't pop up in my head. I mean, he's good in the movie, but I don't see him as the Grinch. He was Jim Carrey to me. I saw him as Jim Carrey just in green makeup, but when you look at Will Ferrell, he really dives into the character and transforms. I wish Jim Carrey was able to get into the character like he did in Man on the Moon, but he didn't do it exactly. But with Will Ferrell, you cannot tell me that is not Buddy the Elf. You know, you can't say, oh, that's Will Ferrell. I could totally tell it's Will Ferrell. You cannot tell. He plays that role perfectly. I mean, but with Jim Carrey, I saw Jim Carrey on screen.
At least Jim Carrey gave a better performance than Will Ferrell in his Buddy the Elf, because every time we see Will Ferrell in a movie, he's always doing that loud yelling, screaming type of thing, you know, being the annoying character. At least Jim Carrey, you know, throughout the entire movie, you know, you see him as the Grinch, you know, that was taken originally from the animated movie, and it was so portrayed perfectly. So and let's also get this straight over here, okay? At least Buddy the Elf is not as annoying as the freaking Grinch. Okay? He's not annoying. So would you rather want to see the Grinch try to ruin Christmas, but guess what? Have such a big heart, you know, gain such love for it at the very end and redeem himself? I would rather watch that than just see Buddy the Elf eat bad freaking pasta with chocolate and Pop-Tarts and marshmallows and whatever the hell it was that he ate in it. You know, he has an affection of sugar. Are you kidding me?
A minute ago you said he was annoying, but just like 5 seconds ago you said he wasn't annoying and Jim Carrey was annoying. So which one is it? I mean, I think you are even,
I did not contradict myself. So don't even get started with that. I did not go there.
You did say that. I mean,
I'll clear this up, Brian. You did, but it was accidental, so I'll look past it. It's stricken from the record. You did accidentally reversed them, but that's all right.
Reverse psychology.
Misspoke. Continue.
That was your Christopher Plummer.
I mean, Will Ferrell may be a little annoying in the movie, But I mean, he's playing a kid. He's essentially a kid. That's who his character is. He has to play that. Jim Carrey is just playing grouchy old Jim Carrey. I still see Jim Carrey in that
He
role.
is
He's
not
not doing
grouchy
anything
old Jim
differently.
Carrey. If you
He's
want to
not
see,
doing
if you want to see grouchy old Jim Carrey, I would say look at that look at that train movie that he was in or no, that was Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that was Tom Hanks. Close.
I'm
But
thinking about that. Sorry, my bad. But you know, if you want to if you want to talk about the method, and this is probably method acting right here at its very best. You know, and if you look at the behind the scenes of it, he went into like method acting to become the Grinch, and that method acting became perfectly.
I mean, if he went to method acting, he did a pretty shitty job because I still saw
No,
Jim
he
Carrey.
did not. He did not go into a
I mean,
shitty
look,
job.
I'm not saying he did bad in the movie. I just saw Jim Carrey. He failed trying to be method acting. He failed at that. I thought he did fine in the movie, but he's not as good as in the animated thing. We actually saw the transition in that. In this, it doesn't really feel like that. It just feels forced. And maybe that's Ron Howard's fault. I don't know. But Will Ferrell, like I said, that's his character. That's why it's a little annoying. He actually gets into the character. That's Buddy the Elf. He's that guy who doesn't have a father figure. I mean, for example, look at the movie when he finds out that he's not actually from the North Pole and his dad's in New York. That's really good acting in the movie. That's better right there than any other, scene in The Grinch. It really is bad.
But now let me ask you this:
Yes.
if it was taking place during Christmas, right? It
45
would
seconds.
it would lead up to Christmas. This actually takes place literally like 2 days before it. Okay, takes place 2 days before it, and he was trying to ruin Christmas for the Who's. And guess what? Guess what Buddy the Elf was trying to do? He was trying to find his father. Really? I would rather see a movie that would rather,
But how does that?
take like a monster. He's like a monster to
But
these.
that doesn't mean that
But
Jim
then
Carrey did a better job in the movie. That's the movie
he
itself.
did a better job as freaking the Grinch than Buddy the Elf going, "Oh my God, Sid! Oh my God!" Really?
Yeah, that's the character. That's the character. We're talking about the performance, and that's the character. That's what Buddy the Elf
at least
is.
at least the performances was a lot better than freaking.
And time there. We're gonna go into closing arguments. Matt, we are starting with you. Make sure you wrap up everything you said so far.
I probably fucked myself on
So,
this one.
like I said, with the Grinch and Jim Carrey, I didn't see the Grinch on screen. I saw Jim Carrey in green makeup acting angry, mad, and stuff. He's good in the movie. I'm not going to say, oh, he's terrible in the film. I'm going to say he's good in the movie. But when you look at who gives the better performance, Will Ferrell easily gives a better performance as Buddy the Elf because he dives into the character. You see Buddy Elf, you don't see Will Ferrell. And Will Ferrell was a pretty big comedy actor at that time with Old School and other films.
Look at him now.
However,
Look at him now.
Yeah, he's making bad decisions, but that doesn't dictate what the performance is in this movie at all. Will Ferrell dives into the character. I did not see Will Ferrell in the movie at all. I mean, you even thought he was better, like before we started this round. Of course, I'm not going to let that, kind of influence the argument. Still, there's that. I saw Jim Carrey in green makeup on screen. Will Ferrell dives into the character. He acts like a kid who is just trying to get his father, trying to be accepted in a way, but he can't really do that. I saw Buddy the Elf in Elf. I saw Jim Carrey in green makeup in The Grinch.
All right, definitely a strong closing there. Brian, whenever you're ready for your closing argument.
Okay, when I think of a Christmas movie, I always think of How the Grinch Stole Christmas because because the Grinch wants to just forget about Christmas and he just hates Christmas. But then by the end of it, he gets he redeems himself and finds that love that that all these Whovilles love about Christmas, and that's why they love Christmas so much. Buddy the Elf is just one of these annoying characters that you don't want to see on the streets because you're gonna be so annoyed by him that you're just gonna be like, who the hell is this dumbass over here? That's what he feels like. At least the Grinch feels like a monster type of character to these Whovillians. But then guess what? Finds out that he's actually a kind-hearted person at the very end, and you just really want to hate him. But at the same time, when you find out that he has the biggest heart ever, you end up loving him because he wants to love Christmas again. And it was portrayed beautifully by freaking Jim Carrey. And if anybody says otherwise, that Jim Carrey, did not do a good job in this movie, guess what? You can go screw off.
Already a passion-filled close in there from Brian. A little bit of fact checking. Old School was brought up in Matt's closing there about how Old School was released before Elf. Funnily enough, they were released the same year, 2003. Old School was released in February of 2003. Elf in November. So they were very, very close. Not that that really influences the argument, but as far as a well-established comedic actor, Old School was the same year as Elf. For this one, I definitely heard a lot more about the performance from Matt and a lot more about the movie from Brian. I liked what Brian was saying, and I actually do agree with the character and the storytelling about how he's a monster, but then you realize he's kind-hearted, he's trying to ruin Christmas, but then you end up rooting for him at the end. I do agree with those points about the Grinch character, but I didn't get enough there against Matt's pick. A lot of what Brian said was that Buddy's annoying. You would be annoyed by him on the street. He's an annoying character. But then Matt said, well, that only works for me because that's what the character is supposed to be. He's supposed to be a kid. It's played well. So I think Matt counteracted Brian's big hit against him very well. And while I do agree that the Grinch ends up being a very redeemable character, I didn't hear enough about the specific performance from Brian. So I'm going to give that one to Matt as well.
Give the fucking game to Matt, why don't you? Give the fucking game to Matt, why don't you? Perfect.
Well, I mean, in the opening argument, or in the open forum, he immediately said that just because he's annoying doesn't make it a bad performance, and then I didn't hear anything else against Will Ferrell's performance.
Okay, next.
All right, number 3. This is going to be an interesting one. I've been wanting to ask this for a very long time, actually. We're going to go into question 3 as we ask, what's the biggest Oscar snub in history? So, I will take any Oscar snub for a movie or performance, a director, whatever it is, for any Oscar category, something that was not even nominated the year it came out that you feel should have been nominated. So that's the definition of a snub for anybody who doesn't know. We're going to Brian first, I think, in this one.
Yeah.
Brian, when you're ready for your opening argument, I am ready.
Okay. When I think of an Oscar snub performance, I always think of which performance, really did very, very well. And it was pretty much my favorite movie of that year when it came out. When I think of a movie that got snubbed, I think of Gangs of New York. And when I think of Gangs of New York, I think of specifically one character, and I think of one character only, and the actor who played it. It was Jesus Christ, I have it here, Daniel Day-Lewis from Gangs of New York. Oh my God, what a movie from beginning to end. And
he was nominated.
He was nominated, but didn't win.
That's not a snub. Snub is something that wasn't nominated.
Oh shit!
Okay,
I can go to Matt if you like, but it's something that wasn't even nominated.
That wasn't.
Yeah, so I think La La Land should have won Best Picture, but that doesn't count it as a snub because it was still nominated.
Oh, God damn it! All right, thank God they're editing all this shit in post, right? Please tell me they are.
Yeah, we'll do everything.
I can restart and just introduce the question again if you want to take a minute to think about it. I'll just start over.
Yeah, man. Let me do that shit.
Yeah. But yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis was nominated. He didn't win though.
Oh, because damn it.
There are a lot of famous Oscar snubs as far as directors and even animated movies and stuff like that. So there are some other options if you just want to take a quick second, or we can go to Matt first. It's your call. I'm fine with waiting, letting you take a second and figure out one.
I'm trying to think of one. Did Julie Garland ever get nominated for Wizard of Oz or no?
Let me check. I don't think so. But I will check. I'm pretty sure she didn't.
Okay, because I'm also looking at like Jamie Foxx here, Jack Nick. Oh, you know what?
She was not nominated for Wizard of Oz.
Okay, I got it. I got one.
Well, tell me what it is before we start, because then I'll count back in and I'll reintroduce the question.
Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Okay. Let me just double check on IMDb. I'm pretty sure he wasn't nominated. Actually, that wasn't nominated for any Oscars. So
It should have been nominated at least for best actor.
okay, so you're gonna go with that then?
Yeah.
And Matt, that wasn't your pick, right? You got something else?
No.
Okay. So Matt,
I was scared for a minute.
Matt, since you'll be editing, I'll count myself back in right now and reintroduce the question.
Thank God you're editing these videos. Hopefully you are.
Yeah.
I think you guys, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
3,
Shit, okay.
2, 1. Alrighty, so Matt is going to take a 2-0 lead as we go into the third question. This is a question I've been wanting to ask for a very long time here on Movie Battleground. I'm so excited that these are the two fighters who get to argue it. We're going to ask you guys, what's the biggest snub in Oscar history? So as far as a snub is concerned, it's an actor, a director, a movie, whatever you like, whatever Oscar category you want to pick. It's something or somebody that didn't get nominated the year it was released that should have been nominated. Brian, we're going to you first. Brian, what's the biggest Oscar snub?
Okay, this is going to be another controversial pick here. Okay, this is a movie that I got to see. This year in October, and I did a review on it, and I was so mind bleeped on how great the movie was, and just how visually beautiful, and just the way the performances were just incredible. And the movie takes place in a hotel, and it only has very limited characters to it, but you only focus on one and his psyche, and that is Jack Nicholson for The Shining. And you wait until the actual arguments there, because holy shit, is there a lot to get into about this movie.
Alrighty. Brian going Nicholson from The Shining. That's going to be an interesting fight. Matt, over to you.
All right, so I didn't go with the performance, and I could have went with something like newer, like Andrew Garfield from The Social Network, who was robbed of a nomination and a win for that movie, and then you could go with some Lego Movie for recent stuff. But to me, what's the biggest snub of the year came out, I believe, in 2008. It was not The Dark Knight. It was The Wrestler. My God, how is The Wrestler not nominated for Best Picture? You know what got nominated over The Wrestler? The Reader.
What the fuck is The Reader? What the fuck is The Reader?
It's Kate Winslet and whoever. It's an alright movie, but really, over The Wrestler. Come on, it's The Wrestler.
Already going for The Wrestler, and that's for a Best Picture nomination, right?
Yeah.
All right, The Wrestler for Best Picture versus Jack Nicholson for Best Lead Actor. I'm going to start the clock at 5 minutes, and whenever you guys are ready, you can go for it.
All right, let's just get this out of the way, okay? Both of these movies are fantastic movies in their own way. I will give a lot of praise to The Wrestler, because God damn, that was like the best performance that I've ever seen by Mickey Rourke, ever, like in any movie that he's ever done, ever. But when I think of a performance that got snubbed for the Oscars, you got to think of Jack Nicholson, man, because I mean the Overlook Hotel in itself just gives this sense of creepiness, and this family there, just you feel really bad for what's her name in the movie, Wendy,
Okay.
and you also feel bad for Danny as well, or just this mother and son, who are living with this abusive father, who had a lot of alcohol problems, and he was struggling for a long freaking time. But guess what? once he had gotten over that, and they get a job there at this hotel to take care of it. That's where I think the movie just went into this really creepy way, because the atmosphere in itself was just unbelievable, and just the psyche of Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance just started going really, really, like, holy man, like, I there's no other words to describe this movie, because it's one of, like, the biggest mind fucks ever, because because you actually feel for what he goes through when he's seeing these visions all over the place, man. And when you say, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, the biggest twist at the very end of the movie is that they've actually like, what, died there at the hotel. They've been living there for God knows how long. They were part of it, and it was just like, what? It's the biggest. It's like, it's crazy, man. And he got snubbed of his performance, because his performance was just really good, was creepy. It was also, thought provoking on what you didn't even know what he was gonna do throughout the entire movie, and just the way that he portrayed it was just masterful.
Okay. Look, I agree.
all I see is just a picture.
Yeah, Matt, if you have your video, you can come back on. That'd be great. I'll pause the time.
Okay, hold on.
Time's paused.
I just noticed that now, and I just see, like, the picture there of Matt just going.
Yeah,
And that's all. That's all. That's.
Oh, if you can't and just want to do audio, we can do that.
Hold on. I'm gonna try to fix it real quick.
All right.
Let me flip it. Does flipping work?
No, it's still off.
Huh?
It's still off.
Video is still off.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Oh, I'm trying to get something.
I love your picture, man, because I could just, like, imagine your face at the same time, just being like.
No, we're not done. I'm trying to get something figured out real quick.
Going through YouTube?
No, not going through YouTube. I was trying to get what's it called? This thing imagery. I was trying to get something real quick. Okay.
Oh lordy. So you pretty much didn't pay attention.
I think I was looking things up.
No, it's all right.
Because I'm already Paul. Okay. It's my face. No, my face is. Okay, now my camera.
It's up. No,
I hate
you're
this
dead.
phone.
Now you're dead.
I hate this.
Now you're
this
dead.
phone is so fun. Note to self.
Good times, Robert. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
Note to self.
Brian, make sure you're sticking to the performance too, not just the movie, because you said a lot about so far about how, it's just a really pretty movie and the twist at the end.
Yeah, just stick to the
performance. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what you're arguing for. All right. Time will continue whenever you guys are ready.
Right.
Okay. So look, you've been talking about more of the movie than the performance. I think we all know that. But let's look at Jack Nicholson's performance in general. Yes, it's really good, but in a year where you have people like Dustin Hoffman being nominated, Al Pacino being nominated, Dustin Hoffman was in Kramer versus Kramer. I can't remember what Al Pacino was in.
Wrong year. You're 1 year too early.
Oh, I was? Oh well, whatever.
That's right. I'll bring it up at the end.
Okay, yeah, just bring it up. But okay. But when you look at Jack Nicholson's performance, regardless of if it was nominated or whatever, his performance was good, but he's not the reason why the movie's great at all. If we're gonna talk about the movie and stuff, I mean, his transition from normal dad to kind of psychotic and I'm gonna kill you, dad, wasn't really that great. It felt more cheesy and corny at the time, and he just kind of went a little over the top a lot of the movie. But when you look at The Wrestler, it like many people who worked in the wrestling industry have said, it is the most realistic movie ever made. If you want to know exactly what wrestling is like in the behind the scenes thing, that's what The Wrestler does in that stance. It takes that, and you have Mickey Rourke in the movie, who's incredible as the Ram in this film. He is, like I said, he's spectacular. He should have won that year. I can't remember who won Best Actor, but alone he should have won. You have him trying to connect with his daughter in the movie who hates him, and it's so emotional, and you feel horrible. It's just a man spiraling downhill. This movie has incredible writing. you know, you have Marissa Tomei, who plays a great stripper in the film. And she gets a great performance in the film as well, where she has depth in the
Shout out to
film.
Marissa Tomei for that movie. Shout out to Marissa.
Aunt Bay. Aunt May, more like Aunt Bay. But
Hot Bay.
no, she
Hot Bay.
gives like a real performance. She's not just nice train, nice.
You had one job, Train. You had one job, man.
Told you to wait till 12. But no, when you look at Marissa Tomei and her performance in that and what the movie does with that, she could have been just like some one-note character that's a stripper, yada yada. But no, she's a character. She's like a real person. That is somebody I could see just walking around the street. This has a brilliant writing in the film. I'm absolutely shocked that The Reader, which was an okay film with a decent performance from Kate Winslet, was nominated over this movie. I mean, even The Dark Knight.
Time right there. Time right there. You didn't get enough of your points in there, so I knew where you're going with that point. So you're sure going to have an opening argument. You can bring up just a few small more points since there were some time difficulties in this one. So, Brian, you first.
Okay. When you think of a performance for Jack Nicholson's performance in this movie was just unbelievable, and it was ripped out right from the book. Once you look at him and you think, and you see like, his just craziness look to him, he's like unshaved, and you just, and he's like this, coming out of like alcoholism and all that stuff, is what you pretty much think of what you would look at Jack Nicholson in this movie. And just the way that he just falls into madness, just being in this hotel, once you just see him go through that, you're just really terrified for him, because you feel like you're falling in the madness with him. And if you're falling in the madness with him, then that's when that's where you and the character are just being alike. And that's where it just went into like this completely, different part of it, where the whole movie just then and there just starts messes you up psychologically. And just like how it messes, Jack Torrance psychologically with the hotel, you feel really bad for him. You get mind fucked, he's mind fucked, but guess what? At the very end of it, you end up being like, like really crazed out lunatic with him. And let's just put in this most iconic line there from the movie. Here's Johnny. How could you not want to like nominate him for just that one performance when he's breaking down the door and you see Wendy is just scared for her life? That right there, those two actors just making that scene in itself, you feel really scared for Wendy, but at the same time, you just you really are like psychologically messed up with Jack, and that combination there is just straight out of a horror movie. That is what real horror is, and it was just portrayed so beautifully, man. And as your pick for The Wrestler, I mean, while it feels, yes, like a wrestler going, on like his breakdown and all this stuff, I just felt it was a little bit one note. It was one note to a point where you get a little bit tired of following him along with everything, following along with the retired actor. I would have wanted to see a little bit more to the movie. You get a lot more of Jack Nicholson's performance in The Shining than you actually do of getting Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler.
Alrighty, a good closing there by Brian. Definitely got his points in against Matt. Matt for The Wrestler for Best Picture, when you're ready.
All right. Well, you said that The Wrestler was one note, but like just a second ago. But in the beginning of your argument, you said that it was a fantastic movie. How could a fantastic movie be one note?
Okay, wait. All right.
It's
That
closing,
doesn't
man.
really. agree with me on that. But, when you look at people who were nominated that year when Jack Nicholson could have been nominated for Shining, you got people like Jon Voight. You got people like Robert De Niro, Warren Beatty, Gary Busey, Lawrence Oliver, who all gave fantastic performances. Nobody gave an okay performance in that year for that category. And like I said, Jack Nicholson's performance, while it's fine, it's not what the movie is. I mean, when it's transitioning from, just being normal dad who takes them to the hotel to, Madman, the transition to Madman was laughable at best. When you look at The Wrestler, it's a movie that is heartbreaking. It's Darren Aronofsky's best film that he's ever directed, in my mind, over, movies like Requiem for a Dream. But still, with that, I mean, you have Mickey Rourke giving his best performance of his career, a Oscar-worthy performance at that, who plays a character who's falling apart. It's heartbreaking. He wants to wrestle. He can't live without it. And how they portrayed that was great. And you also have the father and daughter storyline where she hates him at first. And, when she's starting to accept him and he basically forgets about, going out to eat with her, that whole thing's heartbreaking where it's like, we're done. That almost makes you cry right there alone. It has a fantastic script in the very end of the movie when he's jumping off of the wire to do his dive, where he basically was told, you're going to die if you wrestle again, but he doesn't care. And it leads up to that moment right when he's diving. And you hear like the heartbeats and stuff too, and you can kind of hear noises like it's, like he's dying almost. And when he's jumping, it almost makes you cry, that alone. So let's take what was nominated for each one. Like I said, you got people like Jon Voight, Warren Beatty, Robert De Niro, Gary Busey, and Lawrence Oliver in that year, who all gave fantastic performances. I wouldn't say that a laughable at times performance from Jack Nicholson is really a snub when you look at The Wrestler, who was snubbed over The fucking Reader. I mean, The Reader was just an okay film. The Wrestler was fantastic. I do not see how the Academy messed up on that. Therefore, with basically everything being perfect in The Wrestler compared to a laughable at times performance from Jack Nicholson, that's why I think The Wrestler is the most, the biggest snub of all time.
Great closing. All right. Interesting closing by both of you there. I do have some fact check stuff. Matt, I think you were a couple of years off there as for nominations. I did like that you were one to bring up what it was nominated against. But Best Actor nominations for the 53rd Academy Awards for 1980 films, which is what The Shining was. Best Actor nominees were Peter O'Toole for The Stuntman, Jack Lemmon for Tribute, John Hurt for The Elephant Man, Robert Duvall for The Great Santini, and Robert De Niro, the eventual winner, for Raging Bull. So those were the Best Actor nominations for that year. And then in the Wrestlers year, you did talk about how Mickey Rourke was nominated. Yes, he was, as was Marissa Tomei. They were both nominated, one for leading actor and supporting actress. You didn't remember who won against Mickey Rourke. That was Sean Penn for Milk.
Yeah.
And other best picture nominations that year were The Winner, Slumdog Millionaire, in addition to The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Frost Nixon, Milk, and The Reader. So you did bring up what your movie was nominated against, a little bit incorrectly about what Brian's actor was nominated against, but I still did like that you brought it in there. I definitely, the one you focused on was The Reader, but I think Brian had a little bit of a missed opportunity when he didn't bring up Slumdog Millionaire and Milk and these other great 2008 films that were nominated. Brian had a great opening argument. I thought his opening argument was good, talking about the performance, how you really felt, how you were getting messed up in the head just as much as Jack Nicholson's character was, how it was good performance there. And then I think in the main round, I didn't hear anything against The Wrestler until Brian's closing when he said it was one note. I don't disagree with that point at all. I think that was a strong point, and I didn't think Matt really deflected that point the best way he could have. But I think I needed that note in the main argument instead of what seemed to be sort of a last ditch in the closing. So I'm going to give that one to Matt as well. There's still one more question. Game's not over.
Fucking damn it, bro. Jesus Christ. You know what? You might as well put me in the fucking retirement match right now.
Well, just argue against
it. You might as well put me in the fucking retirement match right now.
argue
Oh, there's
against
no
this
way I'm
point
winning this
in
next
the
one.
argue in the main round instead of just putting in your closing. But yeah, this you get first pick for this one, and this is an interesting question. We're gonna hop into question 4. Brian, you're gonna be up first. We are asking, what's the best historical drama directed by Steven Spielberg? So Spielberg has had a lot of historical dramas out there. We're asking, what is his best?
Okay. It is going to be the most obvious pick of them all. It is definitely one of those that is, that you really feel really bad for all these guys going, just fighting against the Japs. It is Saving Private Ryan. Fantastic performances all around, from Tom Hanks all the way up to Vin Diesel. Yes, Vin Diesel is in this movie, and he is phenomenally excellent in this movie. You can go along with every other performances in this movie, but guess what? The main thing about this movie is that it focuses on these group of guys who are trying to survive throughout this entire battle against the Japs, and you just really, really feel bad for them, trying to save this one guy. So I'm gonna get into a lot of it, but Saving Private Ryan is my pick.
All right, definitely a good pick there. Matt, what are you thinking? Best Spielberg directed historical drama?
Don't go with the other obvious.
I honestly think this is the clear winner. It's Schindler's List. I mean, this is
Of course.
it's Schindler's List.
It's
Brian agrees.
Brian, let him do his opening, Brian.
You know what the actual question should have been? Which movie is better, Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan for Spielberg?
Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, War Horse, Amistad. There's a lot of good ones, but
there's a lot of really great ones. And to me, I don't even know if Saving Private Ryan's in the top 2 as far as what he's done. Not only is Schindler's List his best historical film, it's his best film period over movies like Indiana Jones and Jaws and stuff. So it's Schindler's List 100%.
All right, talking tall there is crowning Schindler's List as Spielberg's best. This is going to be a fight. I can tell right now. In the main round, you guys are going to have 5 minutes. Make sure you're arguing for your own movie and against the other person's movie in these main rounds. You guys have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Look, I mean, with Saving Private Ryan, the first 10 minutes is great, but after that, I mean, it's just another war film. I mean, yeah, there's great performances in the movie, but tell me what Steven Spielberg film doesn't have great performances in it? Literally, he gets great performances out of everybody, but when you look at everything else, when it comes to the writing, the directing, the story itself, it's 100% Schindler's List. He is able to make this film very emotional. It could have been bad. It really could have been bad and could have been offensive to people, but he was able to take this with such care, and the ending alone is really heartbreaking.
You know what's really heartbreaking, and yes, the first 10 minutes of the movie is very heartbreaking because as a military guy, and I grew up with within like a military family, so and a fun fact, I actually did 8 months in boot camp for U.S. Army, so Semper Fi, motherfuckers. You know, I actually cried like hell when I saw all these soldiers die, and just seeing all these soldiers die was just really, really sad there. But by the rest of the movie, the performances start going in to Tom Hanks, to Tom Sizemore. When it comes to Vin Diesel as well, and you can name other characters that are in the movie as well. I'll name out a lot of characters that are here. You got Private First Class Richard Babin, performed by Edward Burns. You have Matt Damon that they were trying to save, and he had lost his brothers, before they were trying to save him. And just to correct myself, it wasn't the Japs that they were trying to kill, it was the Germans. That was my bad. So I corrected myself on there. Fuck me in the ass if I didn't know that.
They're technically fighting both like in historical, not in that movie, but like this overall thing they
Okay,
do. So you were, you're technically right, but so yeah,
but
just no
as but
apologies
as
there.
but as far
But
as far as like as far as the rest of the movie goes, as these soldiers are trying to find, Ryan, Private Ryan, there's at least about what, like there's a different Private Ryan that they get confused with, and then once they continue on, more like the soldiers end up dying, and then that's when you're like, okay, what's gonna happen by the outcome of this movie. So the performances are exceptionally well in the movie. Now I will say, and this is no offense to Schindler's List whatsoever. Okay, no offense to Schindler's List, but why the fuck do we need to see another movie about freaking Germans killing the Jews? Why do we need to see another movie about that?
I mean, you could
We've
say the
seen
same thing about
there's
World
other
War II
movies.
movies.
There's
You could
other
say the
movie.
same thing
There's
about
other
World War
movies that are about Germans killing Jews.
You
Why do
could
we
say the
need to
same thing
see
about
one?
war films. Why do we need another war film? Why do we need another World War II film? It's not that. And you could say the same thing with like, why do we need another slavery movie? Yada yada yada. But it's how the movie is made in general. And once you get past, Normandy and stuff, in the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, after that, it's just another war film, and it's not the best war film ever made. Even when you look at Schindler's List, when it involves that subject material, it's the best out of any other movie that would involve that stance. It's Steven Spielberg's best film. Yes, Saving Private Ryan is a good movie. I'm not denying that. I think it's a really good movie, and I will show people Saving Private Ryan, but I will also show people Schindler's List. It has master writing in the film. You have Steven Spielberg at his best. You have Liam Neeson, who is incredible. I think he gets the best performance out of any other actor in a Steven Spielberg
You
film.
get you get
Yes,
a you get a
Leonardo
fantastic you
DiCaprio.
get a fantastic performance in Tom Hanks as well.
Yeah, it's
You,
not his
that,
best
that
movie.
it's
It's not
probably
his
it's in the list. It's in the top 5 list of best Tom Hanks movies that he's ever done. There's
but
no
is it?
there's no doubt about that.
But
It's in
that
the
doesn't
top. It's
mean
in the
it's
top
the
5.
best
But
Spielberg movie or war
but
historical
if you want
film.
if you want to talk if you want to talk about if you want to talk about direction, the grittiness that makes you feel like you're there in this war, the grittiness is there, and you just feel, you know like you're part of these soldiers, fighting in like this, in like the beach, trying to survive, and it takes your breath away by how visually beautiful it is to watch. So you really feel in the moments of every single scene for this movie. You don't feel any moments whatsoever when you're watching Schindler's List.
And
When you
time
want
right
to
there.
The emotion.
Time there. Alrighty, sorry, I was writing down those last few points. So we're gonna go into closing arguments here. Matt, we're gonna start with you. Make sure you guys sum up everything for your movie, sum up everything against the other person's movie. This is definitely the closest argument so far. So this is really gonna matter a lot right here for stakes for the league. So Matt, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so when I look at what's the best Steven Spielberg historical film, I like to consider other films as well, that aren't historical films, and see if that film is better than that other film. And to me, Schindler's List is the best Steven Spielberg film. Saving Private Ryan is a good movie, but it's not better than Jaws. It's not better than Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Schindler's List is. You look at Saving Private Ryan. Yes, the first 10 minutes on Normandy is great. I'm not going to deny that. There are great things in the film. But once you get past that, it's just another war film. And at that, it's not the best war film in general. Like, I would say Hacksaw Ridge is a better war film than that, for example. And it feels more like you're in the actual war than what Saving Private Ryan is. Yeah, you do feel like that at times, but Hacksaw Ridge, the entire time that they're actually at the war, you actually feel it. But Hacksaw Ridge, that's just compared one movie to another. But when you look at Schindler's List compared to other movies around this, area that involve, concentration camps and stuff, this is the best. Period. You have an incredible performance from Liam Neeson, who gives the best performance maybe in a Spielberg film, including Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln, who was spectacular. And that, of course, you have Ralph Fiennes. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And if that's not him, it's his brother Joseph. But I'm pretty sure it's Ralph Fiennes in the film who plays. He does an incredible job in the film as well. You feel for the Jews in that moment. You actually feel like you're there, you know, in a way. And he doesn't hold back. He holds back in Saving Private Ryan once you get out of the Normandy stuff. He does kind of hold back a little bit. But with Schindler's List, he lets it go full on out. You see everybody nude. He could have, you know, blocked that out. No, he went that far in the film. That's not saying it's, you know, makes something better than another if you pull back on another thing. But I'm just saying, regardless, when you compare, you know, Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan does drag a little bit in the movie, while Schindler's List does not drag at all. It's a 3-hour long film that feels like it's an hour and a half.
Alrighty, good sum up there by Matt. Brian, for the last closing argument of the main round of questions, whenever you're ready.
Schindler's List is a long, boring movie to watch. I will say that it is boring because yes, it is great, but it's, if you want to talk about a war movie, you want to talk about Saving Private Ryan. You feel in the moment every single scene with Tom Hanks, Tom Sizemore, and etc. in every single scene during every single battle. Okay, the entire 10 minutes when you're watching it, it is very gruesome, and it's very like whoa, you know. But after every single scene, right after that, it goes into a performance-centric movie where you want to know a little bit more about the characters, and you want to know more about why they're part of it. Okay, and as far as everything else goes about this movie, he did not pull back. He wanted to further on the movie and explore why these people were there. And if you want to know why, you know, they joined the cause just to save, you know, Private Ryan. They could have stayed behind and they could have just done something else, but no, they wanted to save a private, you know, who they didn't even know. But guess what? People had to die. You know, people died while saving this private here. And even Tom Hanks's character dies at the very end of the movie, sacrificing himself just to save Ryan, played by Matt Damon. You know, it's a performance-centric movie that, you know, that goes on from it. It's incredibly directed by Steven Spielberg. The cinematography is just outstanding. It's better. It is definitely 100 times better than freaking Schindler's List, because you have the cinematographer in Jamu Kaminsky, which God bless his soul, he made a fantabulous movie. And not only that, you know, the exploration of, you know, of all these men's psyches, you know, at the very end of it, you know, just going through, you know, you really feel in the moments of every single scene, like I said. And it's just one of the best Steven Spielberg movies, in my opinion. And it's in my top 2 Steven Spielberg movies of all time. Number 1 ain't Schindler's List.
Alrighty, a passionate closing there. A little bit of fact-checking, just minor fact-checking. It is Ralph Fiennes that is in Schindler's List, not his brother Joseph. So it is Ralph Fiennes. As for the cinematographer at the very end, Janusz Kaminski is the Saving Private Ryan cinematographer. Interestingly enough, he is also the Schindler's List cinematographer. So he did both. So while I appreciated bringing the cinematography point in there, it is kind of a mute point because he did do both movies. Other than that, this was by far the closest round that we've had this fight so far. You know, both of you said, oh, why another Holocaust movie? And then it was, why another World War II movie? Definitely both of you talked about the performances. Brian's list of performers, talking about how it's a performance-centric story. Did really like that. He was talking about the sacrifice. He didn't really hold back. I liked how Matt tried to say, oh, Saving Private Ryan holds back, and then he thought to himself, but that doesn't really make a movie better than it. Like, you almost committed there, but I did take those points away. Brian was saying Schindler's List is, you don't feel the emotional weight. It's long, it's boring. While I don't agree with that, I think Matt had the opportunity to refute those points in his closing, but didn't. So I think most of the things that Matt was saying against Saving Private Ryan, Brian was able to turn back around to a point about how, it is just another war film. It's not the best war film. I didn't think those hits against Saving Private Ryan were the strongest, but I do think the overall points against Schindler's List were stronger. So I'm going to give this one to Brian.
Finally, I get a point. I get a point.
We're 1-3.
Win this one at
yeah,
all.
that was a tough one. Lincoln. I probably would argue Lincoln over Saving Private Ryan. I thought this was going to be a Lincoln versus Schindler's List, but Brian still got it.
It would have been really hard to argue for Lincoln, honestly.
Well, exactly, because both of them have one major performance at the heart of it, and
exactly
that's a tough one. But that's not what we're arguing. So we're going to go into the speed round. Just to keep this in mind, Brian needs to hit all 3 of these questions to win. If Matt hits any one of them, Matt's gonna end it right there. So this is 3-1 right now in Matt's favor when we start a new note sheet.
Jesus Christ. May God have mercy on my soul.
All right, so the way this speed round is going to work, you guys are going to have 30 seconds each. We're going to ask a question. You guys are going to be able to shout out your answers. Whoever answers first gets to argue for their point first. You guys are going to have 30 seconds, 15 for rebuttals. So it's 30 and 15 for the timing. Make sure that you get all of your points for your movie and against your movie as much as you can. Don't just focus on one or the other. Make it a balanced debate. Any questions before we start the speed round?
No.
I'm going to take that as a no. All right. Speed round. This is the first speed round question. I believe this might have been argued on Movie Battleground before. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought it'd be fun to ask. What is the best horror franchise? It's a tough one.
I'll go with Evil Dead.
Evil Dead for Matt.
Well, the thing is, would you consider it a franchise? It only had yeah. Would you consider it a franchise?
I would.
Yeah.
If it was 2, I would still consider a franchise.
I mean, yeah. There's 3, or there's 4 Evil Dead movies. There's 4.
Yeah.
There's the remake. Yeah, I'll give you that Evil Dead.
4.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Hold on, I need to look it up. I need to look it up because seriously, like, horror franchises.
Could go with the 50 Shades.
Good. That I would accept that.
Oh no.
I want you to say that, but I wouldn't accept that answer.
I'm not gonna. Oh, you know what?
I'm surprised you're not going for. There's one I thought you were gonna shout out instantly, Brian, that you didn't.
Now, would you consider Insidious a franchise?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll go Insidious then.
Alrighty, so Insidious versus Evil Dead. There are 3 Insidious movies with 1 to come, and there are 4 released Evil Dead movies, I believe. I think I'm right with that. I think Google has led me correctly. So Evil Dead versus Insidious. Well, there's the first 2, Army of Darkness, and then the reboot for Evil Dead.
Yeah, would you count the reboot because you have that in-credit scene with Bruce Campbell, or would you consider just...
It's still in the same franchise, just like the rebooted Star Trek movies are still in the Star Trek franchise. I'd still count it.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, the new Evil Dead is like a reimagining.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily a remake; it's a reimagining.
Just because it's the same story doesn't mean it's like these isn't. So we're gonna go Evil Dead versus Insidious. I'm surprised Brian didn't pick The Purge.
No, you okay? Can I change it or no?
Nope, you can't, man. I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna go for it right away, but you didn't.
Shit.
Insidious versus Evil Dead.
Oh no.
Don't put the mask away. Put the mask away, Brian. Matt, you're first with Evil Dead. 30
Fuck me,
seconds when you're ready.
Okay, so with Evil Dead, it's able to take, one installment and able to transcend it into something different and changes over time while keeping the horror aspect still in it. Where Evil Dead is a straight horror film, but as it goes on, it adds comedy stuff and it doesn't overuse the comedy and it still has the horror elements. In Army of Darkness, while it's more funny, there are a lot of horror elements in there. And then with the new Evil Dead that came out, it's one of the best reboots in recent memory, reimaginings, whatever you want to call it. But
And time right there. Time right there.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just finishing writing down. I can only write so fast. Brian, when you're ready. 30 seconds.
When I think of a good horror franchise, I always think of it in Insidious, because Insidious was directed by James Wan, and then Lee Whannell went in for Insidious Chapter 3. The cinematography is all incredibly amazing. There is a thriller aspect to it that really gives you, like, it terrifies you from beginning to end. While Insidious focuses more on horror comedy, the Insidious franchise is more of horror, because you really feel for all these characters that are going in through these movies and through all these
time right there. 15 seconds. Make sure you get points in for your movie and against the other one. Matt, when you're ready, 15 seconds.
Okay, so with Insidious, while I think the first one is really good, the second one's just fine, and the third one is horrible. It's laughable. The dialogue is absolutely shitty in the movie and has horrible performances throughout the entire thing. But with Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the humor works in Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness perfectly.
Time right there.
Has great dialogue.
All right, I gave you just a quick few seconds overboard, so Brian, I'm going to give you about 18 seconds, just like I gave Matt.
Okay. Well, Insidious does focus on a lot of comedy aspects within the horror. At least Insidious manages to continue with the horror thriller. Okay, it's a horror thriller, and you really feel for every single part of every single character. Okay, every single scene you feel the tension in there, and you really are
Time
scared.
right there. Whew. This is a tough one to call.
Come on.
That's really tough. This one could go either way. I liked what Brian was saying about how the cinematography, you really feel the tension. It stays true to its real horror thriller roots. Matt, I liked how you were talking about how the humor works, how it owns the humor, it adds the comedy, it changes over time. Matt's, the Insidious Chapter 3 is pretty bad. Brian's knocks against Evil Dead were that it focused too much on the comedy. I liked Brian's argument a little bit better about how it focused too much on the comedy and Insidious stayed true to its horror roots. That's almost uncallable, but I'm going to lean Brian on that one. Matt's still up 2-3. Brian still has to win.
3-2.
Brian still has to win out to win the match. We're going to go into our second question for the speed round. All right, guys. Who is the best director with 5 movies or less? If you need help fact checking, I can help you.
There's got to be somebody obvious.
I guess I gave too many stumpers. I thought this one was pretty obvious, but that's just me.
There's somebody. If you say something, I'm gonna be like, damn it.
How many movies does Edgar Wright have right now?
Edgar Wright has 5, I believe.
But he does have a movie that's called Shadows that's announced, but it ain't coming out yet.
If it's not theatrically released, it doesn't count. I believe he has the Coronado trilogy, Baby Driver, and Scott Pilgrim. I think those are his only 5. Let me check IMDb, but I'm
checking it right now. I mean, he does have Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz.
That's the Coronado trilogy.
Yeah, the Coronado trilogy, Baby Driver, and Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, that's 5 films that he's directed.
A Fistful of Fingers. What's that?
A Fistful of Fingers. Where's
director Edgar Wright. I'm gonna accept Edgar Wright because I don't know what the hell that is. What the hell Fistful of Fingers is, and I'm not sure. Let me see if it was actually released.
Huh.
Says it's a comedy
Nope.
western.
So that was not an American film. Fistful of Fingers was not an American-made film. So though it was a foreign movie, it's shady waters there. But I would accept Edgar Wright as having 5.
I'll argue for Edgar Wright.
Okay.
I can't think. Can you list some people? Because for some reason,
I don't feel rightful doing that with Brian already having made his pick. If you want to shout some names out, I'll fact check to see if they're like names that I can accept. But now that Brian's already made his pick, I can't just start listing off people. There's a lot of modern directors, a lot of modern new directors that have few films.
I'm trying to think. I'll look it up. This is weird. I am going blank. And now we will play music.
Yeah. Just speed it up. Just speed it up. And that is a copyright claim right there.
I don't need that. I don't need that.
It's not really.
Directors with 5 films or less. Oh.
Are you using the voice on your phone to look it up?
Yeah.
I mean, I can list them, but if I list them, then Ryan has the right to change.
Hold on. I got the list, the comment.
I have a few in mind.
Oh my god, I have one that you could I have one over here that I just fact checked right now.
There's someone, let me see what his movies are, and then if I like
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna say anything.
I'll go with Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson.
Ooh.
I'm just fact checking that for myself. Not that I don't believe you, but just fact checking it for myself.
No, I'm fact checking. I'm fact checking.
Those are all shorts. You got Brick, Brothers Bloom, Looper. Yeah, I'll take Ryan Johnson.
Cool.
All right, so Ryan Johnson versus Edgar Wright. This is not where I thought this was going to go. I was thinking more along the lines of Denis Villeneuve, Damien Chazelle, Martin McDonagh.
J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams.
Maybe I'm not sure on that one. All right. Anyways,
you can fact check that on J.J. Abrams.
All right, Edgar Wright versus Ryan Johnson. Let's get through this. Brian, you answered first. 30 seconds when you're ready.
Okay, hold on. Just getting my thoughts. Just collecting it.
You had like 16 minutes to do that.
Okay. Everything about Edgar Wright brings fun, exciting movies to watch. You know, when you think of the Coronado trilogy, when you think of Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and even Baby Driver, when he argued it early, there's always a style to it and there's a substance to it that everybody loves to watch. Ryan Johnson movies is just focused more on sci-fi stuff, and you want to have fun with watching movies, and you want to watch Edgar Wright movies because they're a lot of fun to watch. And they're easily rewatchable.
Alrighty, and you got some stuff in there. Matt, when you're ready, 30 seconds.
All right, Ryan Johnson was able to take The Last Jedi and spin Star Wars on its head, making it something completely different that we've never seen. We're looking for something different. He also did Looper, which he got an incredible performance out of Bruce Willis, which never happens. When you have Edgar Wright, you have a decent Baby Driver. You have a terrible World's End. You have 2 good movies, but you have like all his movies with Ryan Johnson being spectacular with great dialogue. Edgar Wright at times is style over substance. Ryan Johnson is more grounded and in reality.
Time there. All right. Brian, 15.
if you're talking about style over substance, do you really want to see the same sci-fi movie every single time directed by Ryan Johnson? No, you want to see something incredibly fun and also incredibly directed that's different from every single movie that Edgar Wright has done.
All right, and last 15 seconds for this question, we have Matt.
The fact you said with how Ryan Johnson's sci-fi movies are pretty similar is completely ridiculous. You have The Last Jedi and Looper, completely different films. It's not style over substance. That's what Edgar Wright is. He focuses on the style too much. He doesn't focus on the story. He doesn't focus on the characters. That's what Ryan Johnson does. He's able to get incredible performances out of people.
Time there. Whew. All right. That's an interesting one. I think I am going. So Brian definitely came out of the gate strong with his opening, talking about how you have great style with the Cornetto trilogy. It's very original, rewatchable movies. He said there's too much. Ryan Johnson and too much focuses on sci-fi. His movies are too similar. But Matt really knocked it out of the park, saying, "Well, Edgar Wright is too much style. He doesn't take time to care about the script, care about the characters. Ryan Johnson's films are more grounded, that gets great performances. It's ridiculous to say that all of his movies are too similar." I think Brian's biggest hit was that Ryan Johnson's movies are too similar, and Matt, I think, kind of definitively proved that that's not the case. So I'm gonna give this one and the win to Matt, 4-2. Your winner is gonna be Matt today. Really well fought. Definitely not the two directors that instantly.
I got 2 points.
You got two on the board. You got 2 on the board.
You know what you could have gone for? You could have gone for J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
I
potentially
thought about it, but Into Darkness kind of hurt him.
I loved Into Darkness, so that's me.
So
let's just finish up real quickly here. So great fight by both of you guys today. It was really entertaining nonetheless to watch for what is supposedly a bottom of the barrel match. Brian, you're going to be facing Subrath at risk of retirement now. So what do you think about that? And also, where can people find you online?
Subrath, Subtrash, you better pay attention to me, brother. We're going to go against each other for a retirement match, okay? You're going to fucking retire. I'm going to stay alive. And guess what? By the time... Espérate! Camina! Seriously? Okay. Jesus Christ. My grandmother. I'm sorry about that. You can edit all that part out because let me just start off new because my grandmother freaking interrupted me. Anyways. So, Subrath, I hope you're watching this, my brother, and if you are watching this, prepare yourself because you, sir, are going to be in retirement. I'm going to be staying alive, and by the time everything is over, you, sir, will be done.
Alrighty, so
Twitter and Instagram at Damn You Brian and Stardust.
All right, so whatever that means by Brian, he's calling out Subrath. He is ready to fight him. Matt, your record has been wiped clean. How do you feel about that, and where can we find you online?
I feel good because now I don't have enough.
I'll silence you, Brian.
No, I feel good. You know, Brian gave me a good match for sure, especially with that Spielberg question. That one was proving that I do think he's going to win against Subrath. But I can't wait for that match. I feel good that I get to go into the merger with a clean slate, especially with that knockout that I had, unfortunately. Yeah, I can't wait to watch that match. I really can't wait. It should be an entertaining match for sure. So yeah, I feel good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I am Robert Parker. You can follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd at RBRTPRKR98. First and last name, no vowels, and then here. So you can make sure to hit me up on there.
There's
Make
a
sure you
lot of
guys.
vowels in there.
It's true. It's well, no vowels actually. You can make sure, please, guys, if you're watching this, drop a like and a comment to this video. It helps us out a lot. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and also make sure you join the Facebook page, the Movie Battleground Facebook page, and the Worldwide Movie Games Network Facebook page, because very soon our movie competition, these movie battlegrounds, will be moving over to the Worldwide Movie Games Network YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out, subscribe to that channel, join all of the Facebook pages. If you think we deserve it, drop that like, drop that comment. I'm Robert Parker. From all of us admins here at Movie Battleground, we want to thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.